In the NHL, it is very rare to see a player get drafted and become a star right away. It takes at least a couple years for them to solidify themselves as a star and become a household name around the league. Once they have that standout season, this is classified as their breakout season. Much more pressure is put on them through the media, and defensemen try just a little extra harder when these players have the puck on their stick. And every year there is a new wave of players who storm through the NHL with breakout seasons. And in this video, we are going to cover 7 players who could absolutely explode this year.
And starting out at number 1, we have Andrei Svechnikov, who is a left winger / right winger for the Carolina Hurricanes. Now, the former second overall pick of 2018 started off his career scoring 37 points with a 20-goal season in 82 games in 2018-2019. And eventually he took a huge step forward the next year, scoring 61 points in 68 games, obviously with the season eventually getting canceled, but he was on pace for around 30 goals this year. And I think this guy is going to take a huge step in his goal scoring progress this year. I think over a shortened season, I think he could score 32 goals and 60 points in 56 games. Not only is he a great shooter and a great natural goal scorer, he can also pass the puck, and he's going to be on probably the top line with Aho and Teuvo Teravainen. And I think the Carolina Hurricanes are going to take a huge step this year and score a lot of goals because their team is pretty stacked other than their goaltenders. And eventually I think Andrei Svechnikov is going to have a huge year, especially because he's going into the last year of his ELC. And next coming up at number 2 is PierreLuc Dubois, who is currently on the Columbus Blue Jackets. We're not sure if he's going to be on the Blue Jackets for the full year because of his trade request that has been very recent as of late. However, this guy is going into his 4th year. He's going to be 23 years of age at the end of the year. And I think that this could be the one year that he takes a huge step forward. Now, he's playing in the system with John Tortorella, so obviously you're not going to have the maximum amount of offense that's going to come out of your game. But I think this year he's going to take advantage of that new contract and really show how good of a player he is and show why he was drafted third overall in 2016. Now, in his rookie year, he had 48 points. He played on the top line. We really saw how and why he was the 3rd overall pick in 2016. Eventually, he took a big step forward the next year, scoring 61 points in 82 games, but then eventually guys like Panarin, Duchesne, possibly Dzingel left the team, and I think that might have brought his point total down a little bit. And he scored 49 points in 70 games, which is over 50 points, but I think that he's a little bit better than that. And I think that people might overrate him because they think he might be like a true number 1 center, like Austin Matthews type in the future, which I don't think he has, but I think he's going to be like a good 1A, 1B center in the future, playing a solid 2-way game and everything. So I think this year he's going to score 52 points over 56 games, which puts him on pace for around 76 points, which I think eventually is the type of player that he's going to be year in, year out. And with the next player, we have Clayton Keller, who's a winger on the Arizona Coyotes. Now, this guy is going on to his 4th year. And in his first year, we saw the potential that he could play at. He had 65 points in 82 games. That's very solid for a rookie. And eventually Rick Tocchet came into place, and he's not a bad coach whatsoever, but the style that he wants his team to play in, Clayton Keller is not going to live up to the hype and potential that he can play at in that case. So his next year, he scored 47 points in 82 games, which is kind of okay. And then eventually the next year, people thought he would rebound, but he only had 44 points in 70 games, which is a little bit disappointing. Now, this year, I think he could take the next step, just like PierreLuc Dubois, though, however. I think that he's going to take on a little bit more load this year with having some players in Arizona leaving, and I think he's going to take that next step, scoring 51 points in 56 games, which is around a 76-point pace over an 82-game schedule. Now, I think players like Phil Kessel and Connor Garland are going to have some solid years, and especially Christian Dvorak, and I feel like the Coyotes won't be as bad as people think, given how much drama is going around them. And they could certainly sneak into a playoff spot, especially if Clayton Keller plays at this pace. Now going on to Robert Thomas of the St. Louis Blues. I absolutely love this guy. He is so underrated. I feel like absolutely no one talks about him. He was only drafted in 2017 as a late birthday in July, and he went on to play 1 year in junior and then come up right away and play a solid middle six role in St. Louis. And then eventually he took that next step in 2019-20, where he scored 42 points over a 66 game schedule, which is very solid, and that's pretty much top six numbers. Now with Tarasenko leaving this year, he's going to have a much bigger load to play. Now I don't think his potential is crazy high, but I think he's obviously going to take a big next step this year, especially in his goal scoring ability. I think he's going to score 45 points over a 56 game schedule, which is going to amount to around 66 points. And honestly, if you put him on a line with like goal scorers like Mike Hoffman or Jaden Schwartz, I could see this guy maybe putting up 35 assists, something like that, because his playmaking ability is probably his strongest attribute. Next up, we have Rasmus Dahlin. Now, this guy has an incredible amount of potential, and he's just getting started. He is improving every single year. He scored 44 points as an 18-year-old, as a rookie defenseman on a not very good Buffalo Sabres team. Now, this year, adding Taylor Hall and having maybe the best top six in the league, the Buffalo Sabres, I think, are going to score a lot of goals. And this guy is going to be put on the #1 power play, especially going into his third year. He's going to be playing a lot more of ice time, and he started off in his career playing a pretty solid two-way game, so I think that's already an underrated part of his overall defensive play. Scoring 40 points in 59 games last year was kind of underrated. I don't think a lot of people talked about it, and I think that this guy is going to score 46 points over a 56 game schedule this year. And that does equal to a 67 point pace, and I think this guy low-key could be coming into the Norris conversation within the next couple of years. We know how good this guy is going to be, and I think he's going to take that next step with the Sabres this year. And going on to the sixth player of this list, I have Dylan Strome. Now, he's played around 5 years after being drafted in 2015, and every year he has taken a step, except last year where he only scored 38 points in 58 games, which I thought was pretty disappointing, because this guy does have kind of a high ceiling, although he is going to be 24 years of age this year. I just think he's going to take a next step because Jonathan Toews and Kirby Dach are injured this year, and I think he's going to be playing on the first line, probably with someone like Patrick Kane and Alex DeBrincat, and I think that he might realize that peak potential that he's going to reach this year. And with an amount of ice time increase, he's going to be playing on the first power play, possibly with some more defensive responsibility. He's going to be their first line center, and he's going to have more time to make up that progress. Now, I think he's going to score 49 points over a 56 game schedule, which over 82 games would be around 72 points. And I think that is the player that Dylan Strome is going to be year in, year out. He's going to be around 60, 70 points, be like a very good second line center. And honestly, that's a pretty good boat for what he's making, because I think he's just making over $3 million every season now for the next 2 years. Now, Chicago is going to be a pretty weak team this year, however, so look for his plus minus stat to be pretty low, maybe be in -20, something like that. But overall, I think his offensive game is going to take a big step this year. And the last player we're going to recap for this video is Charlie McAvoy, who's a right-handed defenseman for the Boston Bruins. Now, he's going to his 4th year. I think that this guy has a higher offensive ceiling than people think. Over the past 3 years, he's been on the second power play because Torrey Krug has not been there. And with Chara and Krug leaving, this guy is going to be their #1 defenseman night in, night out. His past 3 years, 32 points in 63 games, pretty good, 28 points in 54 games, and then 32 points in 67 games, which is around a 45 point pace pretty much year in, year out. But I think this guy playing on the first power play, he's going to definitely take that spot unless Matt Grzelcyk takes it. I think he's going to score around 40 points with a 56 game schedule. Now, his offensive ceiling is not crazy high, but he's going to be playing some excellent players such as Pasternak, Marchand, and Patrice Bergeron, obviously, on that first power play. And eventually, I think we'll be talking about how good this player is going to be especially he's going to jump into the Norris conversation within the next couple of years.
The NHL is just starting up, and I'm looking forward to seeing these players take their next step in their careers. And all these players are basically heading into the prime of their careers, closing in on what they were supposed to be when they were first drafted into the NHL. So please leave a like, comment down below, and subscribe if you haven't. And I'm going to try and upload more than once a month now. So that concludes this video, and I will see you guys in the next one.